Okay, guys, here we go. This is the Saleh presser from yesterday. As of right now, there hasn't been anything. I saw a quick little CJ Mosley bread and butter, a little nice one, but there hasn't been anything else. I love the way for me this new Saleh press conference thing. The way I'm able to throw the questions in there, and so far the who YouTube hasn't said anything because everybody else is doing it. That's why I started doing it. So. Anyway, it begins with Mr. Saleh being asked about, geez, how's Zach doing?
Robert, was Zach any different today? Did you talk to him about what happened yesterday, or is it just gone at this point?
No, I talked to him real quick. I'm going to talk to him again after these meetings. It was real quick. He's such a resilient young man. He could probably recite every single play that happened, and he's going to want to talk about it and go through it and learn from it. And I know he's going to get better from this. He's in a good place.
And we shouldn't be surprised by that answer because that's what we've been told the whole time. The one thing I feel a lot better about is the biggest thing that confused me after the game. Of course, I was confused by certain things that Lafleur did, no doubt about it. But what confused me even more was the decisions Zach made that were so not BYU. They were so not preseason. They were so not even Panther game. The throws were crazy, and they had nothing to do with Belichick's little tricks and schemes on what he pulls on rookies. Because I don't think Belichick was expecting him to go downfield as much as we did. I think Belichick was expecting three steps after watching the Panther game, 3-step drops, that kind of stuff. What I saw after watching it and listening to him is a kid that says all the right things. You got to be patient. There's going to be games like this, that. But his thinking is, listen, by week 5, I want us in playoff contention. I want all the old talk of the Jets, same old Jet stuff to be in the past that people don't ever. He wants everything to happen yesterday. That's the way this kid is. Bam, bam, bam. And that's the way his career's been, Whatever he strives for, he gets immediately. And this is not going to be immediately. And as soon as he realizes that, he'll be able to listen to Saleh say, take a step back, kid. Hit the safe options if it's not there. And hopefully we don't go through another game of this. Because he could be saying all the right things, but if his mindset is still, this has got to happen faster. This has got to happen faster. These people, these people are expecting a fast turnaround. So that made me feel better about it when you realize what it is, But let's get to the next question, which happened to be about the Jet defense. And what do you think?
Your defense played yesterday.
Defense was, considering the way some of the situations our defense was put in, I thought we did a really, really nice job. The guys stood up. There's plays that we need back. There's from an efficiency standpoint, gave up more inopportune explosives. I think that's probably the word, or the explosives we gave up were big explosives that led to points. But they answered the bell, and I really, really, really appreciated the way the group finished the game. They had every opportunity to call it quits. It was 1st and goal from the 5-yard line, and all they did was knock them back and give them, hold them to 3 points, and just shows the mentality of the group and the pridefulness of the group. Where I've seen a lot of teams just let the opponent walk into the end zone. At that point, they were still playing their tails off, and that's hats off to them.
I love his answers on these. I mean, is this, to me, and if you listen, play it over and listen, watch his face, his facial expressions, his old-time defensive coordinator hat comes out. He's a head coach now, so he didn't actually say it. But when you say, considering what they went through, well, what did they go through? What exactly did they go through? Considering what they went through, the fact that they were able to stop them in the end of the game. Yeah, the fact that they were able to stop them in the end of the game in a game that was over is impressive. But when he says, considering what they went through, I thought to myself, that is just great, man. He's a defensive coordinator. Hey, remember what Rex used to say? This is nothing. This is nothing at all. So, I thought that was great. But yeah, I mean, I agree with him. I think for the most part, to me, the defense has been a surprise. As much as a letdown and a disappointment as the offense has been, the defense has been a surprise. Is it perfect? Not even close. Not even close. But it's been a surprise. And then again, we haven't faced that quarterback yet, but that'll tie into later on. A couple questions about the secondary.
Robert, I know during the preseason and training camp, a topic of conversation was whether Mike was going to call plays from the field or up in the booth. After the 2 games, is there any consideration to him going back upstairs, or does he like it down there?
No, the quarterback likes him down there, which is most important. Quarterback wants him down there to be able to have those conversations and the hard, all the conversations that they do have. I know you guys aren't privy to practice. But after every single series where offense plays the show team, they're back there when defense is up and they're going through the entire script all over again. And so to have that same process for him on the sideline has been gold for Zach, and he appreciates that, and that's what he wants. At the same time, if you go back and just look at the way Mike called the game, I thought he did a really nice job. He really did. And if you look at the way that first half went, I think we dropped back to pass, just true drop back. I'm not talking play action pass or screen or anything. I think it was twice. And but there, Mike stuck to the run. He gave him some easy completions, and we moved the ball. We just got to get it in the end zone.
Mikey Lafleur, little Mikey. He's so damn young looking, isn't he? I guess you got to ask the question at some point, get it over with. Considering what he has on the bench with no experienced backup quarterback that has a lot of years in the NFL, I don't think you really have a choice. I mean, can you imagine if Lafleur was upstairs in this last game? I mean, every time they panned over to that bench after an interception, there's Zach just staring there like this, and Lafleur's in the book, He had somebody to sit next to. He had somebody to talk to. And I guess you got to ask the question, and it's over. And like he said, Zach wanted it from the beginning. But Zach wanted it from the beginning because he wanted it. And number one. Number two, there's nobody else. So you got to do it. You have no choice. Next question was concerning the 4th interception. Was it a bad route? God.
On the 4th interception, it looked like there may have been a miscommunication with Elijah. Maybe he broke off his route. Maybe he was supposed to keep going, and that's where Zach threw it. Was that what happened with there? Was there a miscommunication?
There was. There was a mistake in the route running, but even then, it's 2nd and 28. That's one of those take your medicine. Concede, just take your medicine and get as many yards as you can. See if you can get yourself to a 3rd manageable at best, but don't make a bad situation worse. So that's all the way across the board, from coaching the players, understanding the situation. It was I think 13-3 at that point, and early in the 3rd quarter, and it's just one of those, such an unnecessary play and a self-inflicted wound on that particular one. So aside from the route running, just overall understanding of situational football was the culprit in that one.
I don't know. To me, it just looked like a punt fair catch. I mean, they keep saying the route was wrong. I mean, look at it again. If the route was wrong, I don't know. He was thrown to a ridiculous spot. I mean, if you're gonna, you throw outs, 7-yard, 10-yard outs presuming the guy, makes his cut, he goes to the sideline, you work on that. It's a pass, you let the ball go just as the guy's basically not even turned around yet, breaking into that cut. But you can't presume a pass like that a guy's running a route with, God, how many Patriots standing around? Another Patriot there, with his arm up in the air, signaling fair catch almost. It was like a punt. So, I mean, and LaFleur, Saleh answered honestly. Maybe he ran the route, but it was not a smart pass. So we go to the next one, and the next one is how do you tell Zach, who is Zach, Zach Wilson of the fame, and okay. How do you tell Zach, who his whole entire, college career, and one of the reasons you drafted him is, gunslinger, throws off, this back foot, craziness. How do you tell him to focus so much early on in his career on the safe options, the boring options? How do you tell him that, but let him still be Zach? Good question, I guess.
Robert, how do you manage that moving forward? Because obviously he has that excitement and that potential to make those plays, and you don't want to remove that from his game, but you want him to play kind of that boring football. So what's the balance between those two things as you move forward?
There's so many more reps. There's so many reps, he's got to quiet his feet down in the pocket. He's got to get his eyes to where they need to be within the progression of the play. And he's got to trust, the O-line did a really nice job in protection yesterday, and he's got to sit in there firm and play quarterback on drop back pass. But, it's all a process. Playing quarterback in this league is already hard. Being a rookie, playing quarterback is even harder. And, and we talked about this from the beginning, and I've said it here, that there's going to be some hair pulling moments. There's going to be some exciting moments. There's going to be unbelievable moments. And yesterday was a rough one, but it doesn't mean that that's the trend. He's going to get better from this, and he's going to have moments where it's like, holy cow, is he special? And when we get to those moments, we take them in stride, because we got to continue to get better from all of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. And you know what you do? You just keep talking to him, and when he comes off the field, he's going to look at the play, like that first play, second interception, actually, when he's rolling right, and they're going to look at it, and they're going to say, well, Zach, what should you have done here? And he's going to say Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was wide open. Yes, it was only 2 or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. And yes, there was a defender about 5 or 6 yards behind him. And yes, it may have only ended up being a 4 or 5 yard catch, or maybe Elijah Moore beats that guy one-on-one, and it's an 8-10 yard catch. But it's the safe play. And that drive continues. Period. End of story. Should Corey Davis... listen, I don't think it was one of Corey Davis's stronger games. But at the same time, what do you do when a quarterback's, it was Zach. The whole thing was Zach, and it's okay that it was Zach, because it's supposed to be Zach every so often, because breaking news, Zach's a rookie, and we know that. So it's cool. The next question had to do with, the next question answers the Denzel Mims question. The next question is the most important question of the whole entire press conference. The next question should let everybody just read between the lines and come up with their answer on why Denzel Mims is in the situation Denzel Mims is in. And the question has nothing to do with Denzel Mims. The question is, why did Tevin Coleman have such a reduction in play? And listen to the answer very carefully, because your answer for Denzel Mims, we're all sitting here trying to figure it out. Special teams? What? Depth chart? We're not understanding what they're talking about. He needs to learn the slot. He needs to learn every single position. And then they introduce the whole special teams thing, and we're like, what are you talking about? And then after this, the Denzel Mims questions come, but he answers the question here. Breaking news. Maybe I'll put my little breaking news thing here. Ready?
Robert, we saw a reduction in Tevin Coleman's playing time. Could you explain what went into that decision?
You know, it's a big credit to really Michael Carter was running his tail off yesterday. Ty Johnson ran his butt off too. And, you know, this system has always been about giving it to the hot hand and letting it roll. And even though Tevin had a couple of really cool runs and established himself early, you get into the pass game stuff, but it's all with regards to the way the game flows but all three backs I thought showed up to play, but hats off to Michael, man. He was electric yesterday, I thought.
You think I've lost my mind now, right? Tell the truth. He's gone. We've lost this guy. Last game against the Panthers, Tevin Coleman with Michael Carter came out of the gate. The first time we saw Tevin Coleman this game was with about 5 minutes to go in the first half. We never saw him. The first runs of the game was not even by Michael Carter. It was by Ty Johnson, followed quickly by Michael Carter, followed quickly by Ty Johnson, and followed quickly by Michael Carter, and then Ty Johnson and Michael Carter, then Ty Johnson and Michael Carter. And then eventually, almost deep into the second quarter, almost coming closer to halftime, we see Tevin Coleman. So how does that answer the Denzel Mims question? Because he's not completely right there what he said. He said Michael Carter was having such a great game and looked so great, and so did Ty Johnson, that he had to stick with them. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense because Tevin Coleman's your starter. If Tevin Coleman came out the first few runs and everything, and then you put Michael Carter in, then it makes sense. So what does it tell us? That Michael Carter and Ty Johnson are blowing it out of the water where? In practice. They're blowing it out of the water in practice. From last game to this week's of practice, last week of practice to this game, those two guys are blowing it out of the water, especially Michael Carter over Tevin Coleman. End of story. Forget about Denzel Mims and special teams and everything. Why? Because those other guys are blowing it out of the water during the week. He's tried to tell us that 100 times. We're not buying it because we struggle to have Barrios and whoever above Mims. I mean, that's where our heads are. We're still wrapped around last year's draft pick. We can't, it's a hard thing to let go of. And that's basically it in a nutshell. He gave the answer right there. There was no reason in the world that his answer could be accurate there because Tevin Coleman didn't start. Tevin Coleman started last week. Tevin Coleman was out of the gate last week early with Michael Carter and Ty Johnson. And you heard the question, why did it take so long for Tevin Coleman to get involved? And he said because Michael Carter was running really great and so was Ty Johnson. No. It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make sense. If Tevin Coleman early wasn't running as well as those two guys, or they were running better, whatever it may be, then the answer would make sense. But that's the answer to Denzel Mims right there. He's not practicing as well as these other guys. There's something wrong with the way Denzel Mims is preparing, working in practice. They're beating him up every single chance they get, whether it's special teams, whether it's not knowing the playbook for the slots. They beat him up every chance they get. And it has nothing to do with what he's doing on game day. Nothing. So much so they made him inactive. So we need to start reading through the lines here and maybe, you know what? Back off. Maybe just I went off on that whole thing. But looking at what he just said there's something wrong with Denzel Mims' practice. And there's something wrong with the way he's performing in practice. And there's something wrong maybe a little bit with his general attitude or his preparation. But there's something drastically wrong there. So I think right now it's time to understand. He just gave the exact answer. I went on way too long here. He just gave the exact answer to why Denzel Mims is not playing or why Denzel Mims doesn't even suit up. Okay? And now the Denzel Mims questions start. Okay? Rich Cimini, because Rich Cimini does his homework, goes back and says, I was thinking about this and I went back and I did my homework. Rich did his homework. And here's the answer to his homework.
Robert, I just want to ask a follow-up to what your Denzel Mims explanation was yesterday. I didn't have this information, otherwise I would have asked it then, but when I went home and checked, the special teams component to that decision, he only, Jeff Smith and Keelan Cole only played one snap each on special teams. So I think a lot of fans and probably us too wonder how much of that, special teams component really goes into the decision on deactivating Denzel when the other guys really didn't even play special teams.
No, that's a very, very good question, Rich, and a fair one. But so Jeff is our starting gunner, and we only punted one time, and so there's your one rep. And on that one rep, he won clean on his rep, and he got all the way down to the forced a fair catch, which flipped the field back into our favor. So it was a very impressive rep by him. Something that if you see during the week, Jeff put in extra work before practice, after practice, during practice, and you're expecting him to get about 4 or 5 punts, but the starting gunner is such a critical piece with regards to flipping field position and maintaining field position. And he worked his tail off, had one rep at it, and absolutely dominated that rep and really, really helped us.
So again, Coach Saleh goes a little bit off script and off the beaten path and starts to go down this route of he's asked, one guy played one play, the other guy played a play that was meaningless, and he went on to explain how it works in special teams. How it's determined. If you're the number 1 receiver, the number 2 receiver, number 3 receiver, you don't need to know anything about special teams, nothing at all. If you're the number 4, you kind of got to learn a little bit, but you're not really counted on. So keep an eye on it, but don't really But you're number 5, damn it. Yes, you're a special teamer. Whether you're a linebacker, whether you're the C3 linebackers, 4, 5th linebacker, whatever position it may be. I guess if you're the 3rd quarterback, if you're the 2nd plate, no, I guess it would be the 3rd placeholder. Whatever it may be. I'm being a little sarcastic, but you get the point, and that was his breakdown. But no. Not only is Rich Cimini smarter than that, you can tell the guys listening, the guys running the press conference and protecting Saleh, I guess, if he needs, if it gets out of hand or whatever, he runs the press conference. Here's the first Denzel Mims question, and you can hear him pipe in here a little bit before the question, which you hear him all the time do this. I just got a kick. It was after the first Denzel Mims question, but here we go.
Robert, if I could just follow up on that.
Sorry about that. We'll take a couple more questions. Guys, 1 second. We'll take a couple more questions for Coach. Sorry about that.
The Jeff Smith piece makes sense to me as a gunner, but it looked to me watching the film that Keelan's one special teams rep was the return at the end of the first half, where it looked like maybe you guys had a special return called because there was not much time left on the clock. So that one made
that's fair. Again, so when you talk about Keelan is you consider him the 4 receiver. So as a 4 receiver, your special teams value isn't nearly as much as it is from an offensive standpoint. That number 5 has got to be a special teams guy. He's that goes to Brant, and Brant's going to want who we have to. Otherwise, you're going to put yourself in a very bad, especially against a team like New England, who has special teams stalwarts all over the football field. So, but yeah, when you're talking about the 1, 2, 3, that's offense. The 4 is a little bit of both. The 5 is special teams, and that's, you can look at linebackers same way. 1, 2, 3 is.
And there, Coach Saleh gives Rich Cimini the old nice try, Rich, but you got to get up awfully early in the morning to pull one on Coach Saleh, and he basically tells him yes, but, and then he goes in with what I was just explaining. The first 3 receivers don't ever even have to look at the special teams. The 4th one needs to keep one eye in and one eye out. It's kind of, and the 5th one damn it. Which leads me to believe, it goes back to the thing I was talking about before, about Denzel Mims. It leads me to believe if that's the case, that Denzel Mims is practicing on special teams every single week now. Has to be going on for 3 weeks. And apparently, he's not good enough for special teams. So that's the bottom line. Help me. And the last question is about the defensive backs. And this is a really good answer, and he's right, but there's I'm going to throw a little bit of water on the last one. I hate to do it. But you know what? I'm not going to let's see what happens.
Robert, you got a lot of questions from us through the summer about the corners. And have you been surprised or pleased by how Bryce and those guys as a group have played the first 2 games? What have you seen from them?
No, thank you. I'm not surprised. We can be better with regards to zone eyes and all that stuff. But Goodry, Michael Carter tested, and he 1-on-1. So it's they're going to get tested, and they're going to continue to win. And it's just, to me, it's a wasted effort by the offense. I mean, if they want to play the 50-50 game, we'll take it. But it's hats off to them. They've been doing.
And I'm not going to throw too much water at it. He's right. Listen, they've been a pleasant surprise. I had to cut the middle out of it there because for some reason it went like 12 seconds of no volume, and I have no idea why. But it was the same thing. It was just talking them up. And, Guidry and Michael Carter, the second, Eccles, and he's right. He's right. And the water that I was going to pour on is that, yeah, I know Sam's off to a good start and everything, and blah blah blah, and the rookie quarterback. And I was going to say we haven't faced. Listen, it's the NFL, and these guys so far have surprised the hell out of me. I don't get a crappy feeling when the defense has to go on the field, and that feeling was big time when we first started the season. So. And with all the injuries and everything, it was just looking like this offense was going to have to carry the hell out of this defense. We're going to have to outscore people. And so far, that hasn't been the case, We're putting up, I know last game ended up, 25? You count that and, 25 to 30 points, We'll see what we do against Denver and Teddy Bridgewater this week, So that's basically it in a nutshell, guys. That's it in a nutshell. Good press conference. It was interesting. There was a lot to get out of it. I'm telling you right now, for me, honestly, he answered the Denzel Mims question for me. I guess I see why he can't be more verbal about the reasoning behind Denzel, because it's hard for a coach to come out and say, listen, here, you want to know the bottom line? He's practicing like shit. He's not practicing well. There's a problem here. And, it makes you wonder last year. We kept saying, how the hell aren't they going to this kid more? Because we had nothing last year. What's the problem? And you just wonder. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into that. One thing I will say is that the first official Denzel Mims red flag for me is flying high. It's flying high. And, and a kid behind the scenes, and they have, how many times have you heard them say, how many times have you guys heard them say, this week, if you saw practice, you would see he's doing much better, much better, much better. If every time they said that was accurate, this kid would be in the Hall of Fame already, because it had to be 6 straight weeks they've been saying that. Much better, much better, much better. And I think what they really mean is it's a little bit better. And every week he is getting better. He's starting to get it. Entitled? I don't know if he felt entitled. Did he know he had a fan base last week that would have given their own hamstring up to get him on the field? Probably. He heard all that stuff. But I don't know. Listening to his answer about Tevin Coleman, all of a sudden Tevin Coleman, I was shocked. I mentioned it in the thing. What happened to Tevin Coleman? What's wrong with this coaching staff? They're crazy the way they take guys in and out. What happened? Well, he answered the question. He answered it without answering it. He said, Michael Carter was just running better during the week because Michael Carter was not running better than him on Sunday because we didn't know that yet. Tevin Coleman didn't play. Not until the end of the second quarter. So there, for me at least, maybe not for you guys, for me, he answered to me the whole Denzel Mims thing. That in practice, it ain't even close. The kid ain't pulling it. End of story. We'll see you during the week with more stuff, guys.